Any comments on the Estalon Extremes? I heard the Estalons at Expona. At Expona, I think it's 20 this year. I heard it with, I believe it was V2's amplifiers. It sounded pretty good, but you know what it is? It's hard to gauge speakers of that caliber at a show. It had a lot of bass in the room, a little boomy to my liking. But I can't say that was the speaker. I mean, it's the room oftentimes. But it looks like it had a lot of great technology. I would definitely contemplate a speaker like that if I had the room. The problem is that the Estalon Extreme needs a massive room to work properly. I've heard some people tell me that they heard it in smaller rooms, and it is a pain in the butt to get the speaker to sound as it should in a small space. So that's the only thing I could say about the Estalon. It needs a large room, and that room needs to be fully treated. My thoughts on the Boulder 866 integrated versus the Luxman 509. Thanks a lot and more power. Um, you know, I have a soft spot for Luxman. I've always had a soft spot for Luxman, but I also love Boulder. It's a tough one, to be honest with you. It really is system dependent as far as like how or which one should be better. It all depends in the environment that you put it with. What I like about the 866, it's got that built-in DAC, man. It saves you that money. And let me tell you, that built-in DAC sounds phenomenal, especially when you're isolating the integrated, when you're using a quality stand and you're using a quality power conditioner. I think that I took the 866 to greater levels than I took the Luxman 509 when I had it. The reliability, of course, of the 509 is superior, in my opinion, to the Boulder. Now, that doesn't mean that the Boulder 866 is not reliable. I've said it many times, Boulder builds quality stuff. But I will say the Japanese brand has a superior reliability than the Boulder. The only thing is, of course, the hiccups with the 866, which is the screen sometimes doesn't respond. The volume can be a pain in the butt. It could be maybe resolved with a software update. But the Luxman doesn't have those issues, right? It works every time. It's perfect. It works perfectly. There isn't any issues with it. But I don't know. I feel like the 866 just had a lot more clarity for me. And I'm a sucker for a clean presentation. No, the most important cable, in my opinion, and this could be debatable. In my opinion, the most important cable has been it's a toss up between power cords or speaker cables. Okay. But I would say from my own experience, I probably would lean with the speaker cables. I probably would say the speaker cables are the most important cable. Followed very close second, and again, it could be debatable, followed by the power cord that you put on the back of your source. Okay. I think that power cord is key. And then, of course, after that, the one behind the amplifiers. Um, those are the main cables that I think everyone should pay close attention to. Speaker cables, the power cords that are feeding your DAC, and the power cords that are feeding your amplifier. Then you can move on to your preamplifier and everything else around it. Okay, that should be the order. XLRs are dead last, followed by perhaps Ethernet cables. Okay. You said in a video that DACs tend to have more diminishing returns than other components. With that in mind, what is the sweet spot to spend on a DAC? Wow. Sweet spot to spend on a DAC is so subjective. Some people are going to tell you 20 grand, others are going to tell you 10, others are going to tell you 5, and Jay is not going to tell you any of those numbers. I am starting to believe that the sweet spot for the ultra high end, I repeat, the ultra high end when it comes to sources, specifically DACs, I'm going to say the sweet spot is between 40 and 50K MSRP. I'm starting to feel that is the sweet spot. Those are the DACs that can easily hang with the big dogs that are in the six-figure range. And basically DACs that are in the $40,000 to $50,000 MSRP, in my opinion, make you forget the performance of better DACs that are in the six-figure range, if that makes sense. The Lamp and Cedar Horizon is 50K. The MSB reference is somewhere in the 50s, maybe low 60s. What else? There's many other brands I can think of. I believe the DCS Vivaldi Apex is around 40 maybe. So to me, that is the ultimate group of the best price performance for DACs. Now, does that mean you have to spend that kind of money? No, because I'm going to tell you this. Don't go out there and spend that kind of money on a DAC if you don't have speakers that can show you all the potential of this DAC. Speakers could be your bottleneck, right? So this is assuming that the rest of your system is laid out properly. It's assuming that your system has the right components, and that you have done a great job at distributing your budget across the entire system. Meaning, don't buy $40,000 worth of cables and you have a $10,000 speaker, right? That's what I mean. So, assuming that you know the hierarchy that you need to go by when it comes to spending money on components, I do believe that 40 to 50K is the ultimate sweet spot for the ultra high-end DACs that are out there. Zellaton speakers. Don't you guys want to know about Zellaton speakers? Well, I'm going to tell you Zellaton speakers are great speakers. A lot of transparency, a lot of great driver design. It's all built in-house. A lot of technology behind that German brand. I still feel that I will be trying Zellaton at some point. I am interested in the Zellaton Plural Evil, to be specific. I had connected with the distributor. We lost touch. And again, this happens. He's probably quite busy with his business. I'm also quite busy with mine and my job. But I do think that Zellaton is a brand that I want to explore at some point. It's got some great things that attract me, like clarity, detail, and again, superb transparency. Those are three attributes that are high on my list. So don't be surprised if in the future you see some Zellaton speakers. It's a great question, Tommy. You have Focal Sopra 2s and a Past Labs INT 250 integrated. By the way, INT 250 is a great integrated, I must say. I'm using a Rose 150B DAC, but want a little more smoother sound. Here is a Focal owner asking for less brightness. That's what you're saying. You're saying you want less brightness, right? That's what you're talking to me about. You want less brightness out of your Focals. You want less forwardness from that beryllium tweeter. So how do you do that? I would say your problem is not even the DAC, if I'm being honest. I think your problems are cables. I think your problem is your room. You probably don't even have a treated room. And no matter how hard you try to tame down those Focal Sopras, they'll still be bright. You need better cables. You need to try to get a lot of room treatment for that speaker. That beryllium tweeter tends to be bright by nature. You need to control the reflections in that room. Okay. My first advice to you is look at your room and see where you can be putting more panels, where you can mitigate some of those reflections. And secondly, look for warmer cables. I would say audience cables could be a great match for that. Maybe even Shunyata, to be honest. Maybe Shunyata cables will be great for that speaker.